Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pokemon Nuzlocke. My name is Han, and last episode we ended off capturing our first Pokemon, Mr. Grinch, our amazing Metapod, in addition to having our starter Pokemon, Aqua. So it's a little bit unfortunate that we got Metapod as our first Pokemon that we ever caught, but I'm still looking forward to this series, and hopefully Mr. Grinch will become a beautiful Butterfree who will lead us to victory in the future. So in this episode, what I wanted to do is I wanted to first go to this new route here and catch our second Pokemon. Who will it be? Oh, it's a Piloswine! So this is an amazing Pokemon, folks. Come on. We need some ice Pokemon up in this bish. So first I'm gonna go and take down a little bit of this Piloswine's health. Ooh, so if it endures, that means that I can't kill it, right? So even if... Okay, Aqua doesn't do that much damage, so it seems like we're going to be okay here. But while we do some training, what I want to do today is kind of talk about a podcast that I listened to this morning while I was doing my experiments. Wait, how come he gets to do two moves at once? That's so weird. So today, while I was doing my, what was I doing? Oh, I was doing a bioassay to measure retinoic acid in my samples. Ouch! Critical hit. You can't have that. Okay, hopefully this Pokeball catches the Piloswine in one go. Come on. 1, 2, and let's go! Piloswine has been caught. Welcome, Mr. Piloswine. What should we name you? A Piloswine is covered by a thick coat of long hair for enduring freezing cold. It uses its tusks to dig up food that has been buried under the ice. Yes, I would love to give a name to the Piloswine. As one of my good friends, Aiden Cottrell, called me before, I'm gonna call Mr. Piloswine Hammy. Welcome to the team, Hammy. Glad to have you. So we're gonna go to the Pokemon Center and heal up, and then we're gonna just grind a little bit so that our Pokemon are up to snuff, so that we don't have an unfortunate thing that happened with the Kecleon in the first episode happening again. So so when I was doing my experiment, I was listening to a Star Talk but with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who, if you guys didn't know, is an amazing astrophysicist. He wrote a number of books. He's a great talker and an educator. Wow, we could have gotten a Sneasel. And in that talk, he was with Dr. Angela... what was her name? Angela DeHauser? Hold on. Angela Duckworth. And it was really an interesting conversation that they had about grit. So Angela Duckworth is a psychologist who wrote a book recently on what grit was. And grit is kind of this characteristic of people whereby they can persevere through some difficult situations in order to achieve a long-term goal. And it's kind of something that I personally believe in, but I don't always execute. So they were talking about grit and what causes someone to not exhibit grit, as I sometimes do, and they got into this concept called learned helplessness. And this was really interesting for me. So how they learned about this concept previously was that one of the famous psychologists in 1965 did a experiment using dogs, whereby he put the dogs in the cages and subjected them to a bunch of electrical shocks, which I admit sounds pretty cruel, but bear with me here. So the dogs grew accustomed to kind of getting shocked in this cage and not being able to do anything. And then when they were transferred over to a different cage where they had an area of the cage where they wouldn't get shocked, instead of going to that area to avoid being shocked, the dog actually ended up just laying down and accepting the electric shocks. So the psychologist said that this phenomenon was indicative of this concept called learned helplessness, kind of like a dog depression. And I was trying to think about where in my life that I may have exhibited learned helplessness, and it made me think of last year when I was in Hong Kong. Wow, this Ninjask is really just getting a speed boost. I'm just gonna speed things up a little bit here. Hopefully I don't die. Jeez. So another thing about the Pokemon Nuzlocke is that you're not able to run away. Maybe I should have bought some potions to help me with this. Yes! Go Aqua! That's my girl. Alright, so I'm gonna go and heal up again, and I'm gonna go buy some potions as well. So last year, when I was still doing my PhD, and Ellie, my wife, she wasn't here with me. She was still in Chongqing, and I would go over almost every week to go and see her because we really wanted to see each other again. But unfortunately, because we had been living together for so long, I think we developed some codependence, and I missed her almost every day, and she missed me every day, and we would go and just have these conversations for hours and hours every single night, just so that we had some semblance of kind of being together. But the problem was, it wasn't enough, and sometimes, like especially after a few months of that, even when I come over every week, every time we depart or I have to leave at the airport, she would cry, or she would have to go to work, so she couldn't even see me off at the airport. Sometimes, she would come to Hong Kong, and then I would have to see her off, and then she would have to make the trip back, and then every night that we weren't together, she would just cry. And it was a really difficult time for us because we didn't know when this kind of situation would end. These flights weren't cheap, and we were struggling a little bit financially, but we decided to take the hit so that we could be happy together. But as you can imagine, it got a little bit stressful, and I don't know. I think we felt like there was nothing really that we could do at the time, because it wasn't like I could give up my PhD, or I could like take some days off and just go visit her for long periods of time. And it's not like she could just quit her job and then come. So we created like this 1-year plan so that she would be able to come eventually to Hong Kong, and she would get a job here, and we would be able to spend 2 years here and then move to Canada together. So that was the plan. So at least we had that going, but when you're just starting out a plan, it's not very realistic. And even though I'm idealistic, Ellie is very realistic, and she just felt like there was no chance in heck that we'd be able to be together. So even though I was giving her like words of encouragement every night, she didn't really believe me, and she got tired of me just saying things rather than making things happen, which is fair. I do tend to talk big without acting a lot, but sometimes she would just hang up the call and not talk to me for a while, and that was difficult for me because I really wanted to talk to her more, but at times I didn't even know what to say. But anyway, eventually we were able to get her a visa so that she could come. She quit her job. She was going to move. I went back to get her stuff and then help her move to Hong Kong. And at the same time, we could visit her parents for the Spring Festival. But that was when coronavirus hit. and we were locked in Hubei, which is where her parents lived. We were locked there. The highways were shut down. They put like dirt on the roads. All the trains were shut down. There was no airport in that small town that they lived in. I say small town, but they have like 1 million people, which is crazy. China, right? But I was there for about 2 months. We were stuck there for about 2 months, and we didn't know when the lockdown was going to lift. And unfortunately, the enter-by date on her Hong Kong visa expired. So we were in this position where we would have to reapply for another visa and wait so that she could come over. And remember, during this time, we didn't have any. She didn't have a job because she quit her job in order to move, and she didn't have a place because we thought we would move out. I mean, she had a lease for like 1 more month, just in case, but like, still, that's not enough, right? Thankfully, the landlord was okay with us going back to Chongqing for a little bit, because once the lockdown lifted, I had to go back to Hong Kong for my job, so she had somewhere to stay in the meantime. But really, we struggled to get her to reapply for a visa so that she could come to Hong Kong as we originally planned. Thankfully, after a long time of talking with the people over there, and just I'm gonna use Tail Whip to try and decrease their defense so that when we do end up dealing damage, then we'll do a little bit more damage, because it seems like we're not accomplishing much here. Also, we have some potions so that we can deal with Lily here. Hold on, let me heal up a little bit here, because this is a Nuzlocke, remember? So if we lose Aqua, we don't get Aqua back, and I don't know how well we're gonna deal with just a level 2 and a level 3 in our team. But thankfully, we were able to contact someone in the immigration department over at Hong Kong, and they helped us out. They were very nice, even though they weren't working at full capacity. We did have to wait a bit because they weren't running at full capacity, but we did get the visa. So I came to Hong Kong. We were full of hope again. Everything was going to go well. I sent over the visa while I was in quarantine. And then, but unfortunately, we learned afterwards that she wasn't able to come to Hong Kong without approval from her government, local government, so that she could leave China at all. Which was something that I didn't even consider. I didn't know that was a thing that could happen. So, we felt helpless again, but because she would have to go back to Hubei, and if she goes back to Hubei, then she would have to quarantine for 14 days and then leave Hubei and quarantine for another 14 days in order to go to Hong Kong, because they had a policy no one from Hubei in the last 14 days could come to Hong Kong, right? But she had a friend who was in Hubei who could help talk to the government officials for us. Her friend went to the government offices and asked them if they could approve her Hong Kong visa. And then what happened was they said they weren't running at all because of the coronavirus situation, so they couldn't approve it. So at this point, we didn't know when the offices were going to reopen. We didn't know when we were going to be able to be together. She was on her last few days at her place. She would have to move out and go somewhere else, and she was all alone in the city. I mean, she had her friends, but her friends were busy with work, so it's not like they could take an entire day off or take leave, especially during the COVID pandemic, so that they could help her, right? So really, every step we tried to be together, it seemed like the world was saying no and teaching us to accept that we were helpless. So this is where I'm tying it back to that learned helplessness, right? It felt like the world was trying to teach us that we were helpless and that we couldn't do anything to improve our situation, which isn't fun for anybody, right? But the bright side is that in this moment of desperation, I guess in a way we exhibited that grit that Dr. Angela Duckworth was talking about. Hold on, I'm gonna switch out. I'm gonna switch out Miss Hammy for Aqua so that we can get some experience on Hammy. You know, I want to be able to use our Hammy. Come on, Hammy. You're part of the team. You gotta pull your own weight. Okay. Oh no, another the leap. Okay, so I'm gonna switch out to our Aqua, and then Aqua is gonna deal with Lilith for us. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna decrease Leap's defense about 2 times, and then I am going to use Tackle and try and finish her off before she finishes me off. Okay, so anyway, where was I? So yeah, so we kind of exhibited grit in this situation where we didn't feel like there was any hope left. Because no matter how many obstacles we were together in our way, and no matter how emotional and physically drained we were, we did refuse to give up until the very end. We eventually, I tried so many times to call the immigration department and try and see if there was a way around that that approval from her local government, even though it was like a long shot, right? But eventually, one of the immigration officials did say that she might be able to come to Hong Kong if she had a previous approval from the local government to come to Hong Kong at all. So what had happened was that we had, with the first visa that we got for her that expired, we did get approval, and that approval wasn't expired. So we were thinking maybe there's a chance that she could come, even if her visa, even if she didn't have a new approval from the local government. And we believe that because there really wasn't any other choice, or else we would be separated for God knows how long. So we booked a one-way ticket for her, and she flew over to Shenzhen, which is bordering. Yay, Hammy! I mean, it was kind of reckless of us, but we really didn't have a choice. There was so much misinformation going on because of the coronavirus. I don't think the immigration department had a consensus on what was happening, and the policies were changing so often every day. But she got to the border. She told me that there were families that were turned away at the border because they didn't have the necessary documentations. No! Oh my gosh. Yeah, go Hammy. Go Hammy. Alright. I was supposed to switch Hammy out for Aqua. But wow, a Rapidash. We could have gotten a Rapidash. This game sometimes, huh? It's all fun games though. It's all fun. We're okay. We got our hero, our MVP player, MVP I guess, Aqua, to kind of deal with this problem for us, and she's gonna do just fine. So she was able to get across the border because of that prior approval. And thankfully, because of that, she's here with me today. I really don't know what would have happened if she couldn't come. I shudder to think about what would have happened to us if she was rejected and then she had to go back to Chongqing alone. She wouldn't have anywhere stable to stay because of the apartment lease being terminated. And I mean, I would be able to support her with my income as much as I could. But we would definitely be struggling because she didn't have a job at that point. And it's not like I could go back to China either, because foreigners, even now, aren't able to cross the border into China ever since the coronavirus broke out. So I thank the stars that we were able to get through this situation and that she was able to come. I guess the moral of the story is that that grit that we had, in spite of all of the obstacles in our way, in spite of how difficult it was, and the world telling us that we were helpless. We were able to persevere, and that probably saved our relationship. We refused to give in, no matter how much the world tried to stop us. So I am a true believer in grit, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about today, which was that even though it seems like nothing is going to work and it's really hopeless at times, don't give in, guys. Just don't. Life is going to put obstacles in your path, and we're all going to be put into a situation where we feel like we won't be able to do anything about our situation. But it really is that perseverance that gets us through. And it might not be the ideal situation. Like Ellie still doesn't have a job, and we're not able to go back home oh, this is a new route, so we can actually catch another Pokemon here. Hold on, but before we do that, I'm just gonna keep training for a little bit more while I finish my story. But even though the outcome isn't as good as you might hope for, there will be some sort of benefit if you just grit your teeth and struggle through it. And I know that if you're in a position where you don't feel like you can't, where you feel like you can't do anything about your situation, it's not going to be a random guy, 25-year-old guy who's going to change your life and, make a big difference in your ability to get up and do things. But, maybe even before you reach that point, just practice grit on a daily basis. I didn't choose to become like this. I think I learned grit from my failures in trying to get into medical school. I failed like 4 or 5 times, and that sucked, really. I was depressed too when I wasn't able to get into medical school, and everything wasn't going right in my life. I had a low self-esteem, but also I had low self-efficacy, which I think people underestimate. When you feel like, it's not about like feeling that you're the best or whatever, it's about that you feel like you're capable of doing something. And it's really when you lose that feeling of being competent that you're really vulnerable to things like depression and anxiety, in my opinion. And maybe I shouldn't even be talking about this because I'm not a professional, I don't major in psychology, but that's just how I feel, right? So before you even get into a situation where you do have to practice your grit. Okay, so this is a new route. We're gonna be able to catch a Nuzleaf. Heck yeah! All right, pause on the story. We're gonna do Horn Attack might be too much. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to Aqua because I doubt that Tackle is going to kill Nuzleaf in one hit, unless it does a critical hit. Okay, I'm gonna go one more, and because he increased his defense, now he's in the yellow. Let's use our Pokeball and catch this Pokemon. Come on. 1. Oh no! No! Okay, maybe I'm gonna have to bring it to the red. Alright, let's try this. Let's tackle. Okay, I think he can take one more. Yes, now he's in the red. Now we should be able to catch ourselves this Nuzleaf. What's it gonna be? Oh no! No! We only have one Pokeball left. Come on, game. Is there any way that I can Maybe Hammy has some moves that can like maybe put it to sleep or something. Okay, Pound doesn't seem to be doing so much. Powder Snow? Oh, I don't know what this does. Does it attack? Does it do damage? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just gonna risk it one more time. Risk it for the biscuit. Come on! That's my fault. I didn't have enough Pokeballs. So unfortunately, we're going to have to let this Nuzleaf go. And yeah, so it would have killed Nuzleaf if I used Powder Snow. That's a little bit unfortunate. And it also means that we can't catch any more Pokemon on this route because of the Nuzlocke rules. Oh man. What was I even talking about? I was just so excited to potentially catch a Nuzleaf. Okay, well... Let's see, what was I talking about? Okay, I was talking about grit. Yeah, I was talking about, like, being able to... training yourself to have grit. So... not something like a participation trophy, because I think that just serves to boost your self-esteem without really boosting your self-efficacy. You don't feel like you're more successful just because you get like some sort of participation trophy, like just cleaning your room or whatever. Like, I mean, if that's really difficult for you, then maybe that will help you. But if you're in a position where, you know, if you're not depressed already, then it might be a good idea to just challenge yourself a little bit by bit, and just practice developing some resilience. And I think that's what a lot of parents try to do, but as adults, it's a little bit difficult because we don't have a parental figure in our lives. So if you don't have one, you just gotta stand up for yourself, and you just gotta work on your own grit. And then when you do encounter a situation like mine, where you kind of just you need to just stand up, and every time the world pushes you down, you gotta stand back up. We could have gotten a Nidoran. This game, man. This game. That you can stand up and face the day. Alright. I think after this, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't want to be poisoned. Okay, we're gonna have to rush back to the Pokemon Center so that Hammy doesn't die to poison. Oh no! Hammy! 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 Hammy, how are you doing? How are you doing? Okay, you're still good. You're still in the green. Hammy, I believe in you. You can make it. Okay? We're at the Pokemon Center. Hold on for just a little bit longer, and we'll heal you back up. There we go, Hammy. You feel better, buddy? You've been pulling your weight, man. You've been pulling your weight. And I know you're going to be a good part of our team. I can't say the same for Mr. Grinch, though, okay? Just shh, don't tell him. Well, there we go. We missed out on the Nuzleaf, but thank you for joining me on episode 2 of the Pokemon Nuzlocke. I hope you enjoyed my story and rant about grit and learned helplessness and how you can kind of overcome that, and what my story was in dealing with that. If you liked the episode, please leave a like and subscribe. If you don't like it, then you can leave a dislike. It's okay. Either way, it helps the channel. Leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts about your own experiences with grit and learned helplessness. And maybe someone will read your comment in the future, and they'll feel differently. So anyway, so long, folks. Thank you for joining me today.